fully outsourced infrastructure. And usually, with X, whatever it is, in the cloud, you can't get some other factor, one of these things typically, or maybe something else. And the problem with that, you could say, well, why does it matter? If you're providing software as a service, as long as you're delivering that as a service, why does it matter how it's hosted? And I think one of the things is if you're buying a service from someone who doesn't actually believe in the nature of outsourcing of cloud hosting, then they don't really believe in, as a part of that cloud hosting community, they don't really believe in the product they're offering in a sense. So I suppose at that point you can be certain you really are talking to a salesman. But so the benefits, I think, of really occupying, really being a participant in the full cloud stack, even if you're sitting right on the top, well, you should be using all the elements underneath. Product integrity, I mean, that's not in itself a benefit, although it might give you a warm feeling. I mean, that's really referring to the previous slide. You do actually eat your own dog food in a sense. But the scalability thing, you only actually draw on the resources that you need when you need them. Ubiquity. Certainly, I'm very familiar with the platform that we're using, which is the Amazon platform, and they've got currently 4 separate regions. And we've got, at the moment, we're using 2 separate regions, one in the EU, one on the east coast of the USA. We want to raise a system on the west coast or in the Far East. It's worth a few seconds to set that up. A couple of minutes later, the whole thing is operating. So we can get reasonably geographically close to the markets that we're serving. And locality, I mean, that's a bit of the same but different. If you're a customer in the USA, and I mean this is true in a general sense as well as the voice in the cloud kind of sense. If you're using outsourced IT services and you're a US customer, you may be quite uncomfortable if everything's hosted in the EU, or vice versa. For data protection reasons, there may be very good reasons why you need to be absolutely certain that your data doesn't leave the administrative domain that you exist in. Affordability, I'm looking for it is here, but that one doesn't really work too well. Pay for use. OPEX, not CAPEX, and that is quite an important thing. If you're setting out with a grand plan to expand the business from a small beginnings to a huge, supporting a large field population of applications or whatever, you don't really want to have to lay out all the capital to build that big system only when you've only got 1 customer or 2 customers or 5, 10 customers in the first instance. And the full cloud arrangement, you can draw on the pool of machines that are provided by the bodies like Amazon Rackspace, who really have invested in that side of things. And outsourced maintenance, touched on that before. It's a very useful characteristic. Well, pay for use, is it smoke and mirrors? I mean, it's a very good question here. It can be magic. There's real hardware somewhere. Surely someone pays for the time I'm not using it, and it has to be me, isn't it? So there's actually a reasonable answer to this. I mean, again, drawing on Amazon and the way they go about things, they've got 3-tier pricing. For virtual machines, there's several different pricing levels, and the most obvious one is what they call on-demand instances. You pay a given price per hour for a virtual machine that you get when you want it, when you need it. You pay a lower price if you want to commit for long term. In our particular system, we've got certain machines that need to be running, looking after the system long term, and we have others that pop up and down. So we take advantage of a lower price by paying for reserved instances. But the bottom was the interesting one in the context of this particular slide: spot instances. They have a spot market and a spot market price for instances. And if you're perhaps a research organisation, or maybe it's just like the end of month accounting or something of this sort, you set the job up on the virtual machine images, ready to go, and you put in a bid price, what you'd be prepared to pay for those virtual machines. And when the on-demand demand goes down, the spot price comes down, as soon as your spot price your bid gets met, they'll start up your job and they'll run it. And essentially, they'll run it in idle time. So in actual fact, someone is paying for the hire. We're not to be idle in that sense. So they've got that worked out pretty well, and I think that's an important factor in the utilisation. So, despite the concerns about the unavailability of whatever it is, I mean, VoIP as a technology works, it's not new news. The things that we're all familiar with, Skype and Messenger, all those things work, usually, depending where you are and the circumstances. And if you, the last mile of your link is a piece of wet string, it's not going to work so well. But the point is that if you put voice processing or any of the major IT infrastructures in the cloud, you can arrange for them to work very well indeed. Because in our case, for cloud-based media processing, you can choose your routes, select your routes between where your virtual machines are and the telco gateways that you're using. So you can test those. You can look at the bit integrity, the delay, the jitter, and you can monitor that over a period of time and make sure it's what you need. And for the moment at least, the most practical aspect, access into such a system is via the PSTN dial-up, calls to and from the public, although obviously there's other means of direct IP access to such systems. And indeed for enterprises or IP contact centres, another big opportunity area. If public internet access reliability is a question, then SIP trunks is a perfect solution to that, because that gives you a very predictable quality of service right back to the locality of the cloud. So, what makes cloud particularly useful for voice processing, the kind of things that I've been talking about? Scalability, I mean, that's not just simply the sort of ramp of growth over a period of time. In telecoms, there's this concept of busy hour, the particular hour of the day, perhaps when the system is most busy. And traditionally, with ordinary, the traditional equipment, you have to dimension your system. You have to provision it according to the busy hour. And for the rest of the time, it's underutilised, and that's just the norm. And certainly on a cloud-based system, we've got on-demand virtual machines. You can, increase or decrease the number that you've got available to you. And equally, most of your business may be carried on during the week, or maybe it's all weekend, or maybe voting on TV campaigns or things like that. And there's this widely, probability, in fact, of widely different traffic loads. And then the possibility of large non-recurring increases for short periods and then decrease afterwards. And you can cope with that using an on-demand underlying infrastructure. And essentially, that's the virtue of pay-per-use. So the opportunities, I think, are basically in cost reduction of these kind of services and using these capabilities to create services that people want to use. And so the whole technology area is much more accessible in an actual form, and also technically more accessible because the web is accessible, and if you make access to these capabilities as straightforward as web access, then you do enable a lot of new and interesting new possibilities. And as I say, the cloud is disruptive technology, and one of our experiences in enabling technology over a long period of time is that we said from the beginning, and we get reminded of it over and over again, we're never going to be able to predict all the things that customers, the people are going to want to do with this technology, and it's futile trying to predict it, but you just need to be ready for it when it comes, because that's where opportunities lie. So there might be some occasions when cloud environments are not suitable for service hosting, and I think the main one there is when security is your first and foremost, first, second and third priority, and that in such situations it may be financial services of one kind or another, when your remit is simply to do absolutely everything you can to make sure that the systems are secure, and as a result, physical security is really the only recourse. It's no good after the event if someone says, well, you had a security breach, and did you do everything to secure that? Well, no.